All right, time for your morning beat. We got Blaze Lovell here to talk about a comprehensive look at some of the loopholes in Hawaii's pay-to-play laws. Now, this is an article that's not only in Civil Beat, it's also in the New York Times. Very comprehensive, my goodness. Why don't we start off, Blaze, with just talking about some of these late-night parties that really illustrate what you're talking about?
Sure, Grace. So in the story, we talk about parties hosted by this airport official named Wesley Yonomine, and there were a lot of lobbyists there, a lot of contractors there, and a lot of people seeking business from the airport at the same time, and they were all making donations to campaigns that were benefiting from these fundraisers.
I mean, so much to where you actually talk about there's a metal box to get in?
Right. So, if you're invited to these parties, before you go in, you would need to, make a donation either in a check or in a cash. People would cross your name off a list. And then you could go in, you could meet with state officials, some of whom were involved in selecting winners on a lot of these airport contracts and possibly others.
Now, you went through a mountain of information for this article. And what did you find as far as drawing a line between the people who donated and the people who got those contracts?
Right. So back in the day, in 2005, the legislature tried to ban any campaign contributions from contractors, but they wrote in this gigantic loophole that they only applied it to the business, but if you're an executive of a company, if you're an employee, if you're an officer, you can donate within the legal limits. And we found out that that's happening a lot. And so people tied to these companies getting contracts, they accounted for about $24 million in campaign donations since that time. So almost $1 in every $5 in political money is coming from someone who's seeking government work. And
you looked at the timing of donations for these different contracts, right? Either before or after they got the contract? Right.
So it's not just that, somebody gives to the mayor or the governor or a legislator and then, years later they get a contract. We've found instances where people tied to companies have donated to legislators as they're, making budget decisions that would fund these projects that they're competing for, or to other officials, right around the time that they're about to win a contract.
Now, fundamentally, just to break it down for people who may not be super into politics, what's the problem here, and how does this compare with other places?
It gives off the perception that, you've got to, like we said, you've got to pay into the system to be able to play in the contracting game. Other states that have had problems with this in the past have done a better job at limiting that kind of money. We look at Connecticut in particular. An attorney there told me that, it's almost $0 that come from contractors now because of how effective their ban has been.
All right, we're just really just scraping the surface here. You should really read this article. You can find it at civilbeat.org or text 66866 to get this newsletter. But you should see how much work Blaze was able to put in with a team of other reporters. So we want to thank you for being here, Blaze.
Thanks so much.
All right, we'll be